All the planes we call the air show, nothing to do with us. All the boats out there watching, we call the fishing competition, nothing to do with us. Just us against Dennis.
Us and Benny's
in the
bars.
Beautiful, glorious, white, pretty boat which snaps his glorious sails against the rusty Dutch barge designed by a bloody Dutchman with an American passport. So we sort of broke the mould, and then only just won.
Yeah.
Only just one.
Yeah.
You know, I think if we hadn't had those two breakages in race 1 and 2, remember we didn't have a break. We didn't have a break the whole. Oh, we had one other when we broke a main-headed lock. But in 40 odd races, you know, one breakage, one retirement, and then America's Cup, bang bang. Both of those races, I think we would have won.
Yeah.
I think we would have. Dennis sailed an extraordinary race in the 4th race, where he just ignored us. And sailed a fleet race, beat us at the start, and it didn't match races. Just picked every ship. We were faster all day and couldn't get around him. I reckon we would have won 4-1, maybe 4-2. But with those breakages, we're going to come back from 3-1 down. You know.
One of the biggest upsets in history.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but it's going to be good news for Newport. There's a guy called Mac McLean. You ever heard that guy's name? He is one of the rising, if not arrived, stars of Hollywood. And he's been given he's a documentary maker. And he made an incredible documentary on the Orange people. Do you remember the Orange people, the Oregon Orange people?
Yeah.
Vaguely, do you remember them?
Yeah, a little bit.
The guru, and they all dressed in orange, and then there was this guru's name I can't remember now, who lived in India, and it was in the late 70s. And Fremantle was the home of the Orange people. Right? And, like, he really... half the people in the cafes were dressed in orange. And
wow.
We were all 70s, right? And then, but the whole thing was corrupt from day one, like so many of these, a bit like Scientology, you know, it's corrupt and as rotten to the heart as Scientology is. And they then went back to Oregon, and they basically got themselves into the town of Oregon, and they just about stuffed Oregon. And so they did this guy, Mac McLean, did a story on the Orange people and all that. And he did an incredible job of it and made his name. He's in his early 30s.
Wow.
You know. Anyway, so he's just done a deal with Netflix, big budget, and he's doing 8 films. And their films are all feature length, so 110 minutes or whatever. And the whole basis of them is that they are sporting events that still resonate within a nation. Now, he knew about Fremantle and about the America's Cup because he came here when he was doing the Oregon trip. So he's put out, I think he's doing 2 of them himself, and he's commissioned other filmmakers to do the other 6. The lead story is going to be Australia too.
Okay.
And what he's done is he's gone down all of the old little TV stations down the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
And he's sorry.
Ah, good. There must be so many documentaries and movies and stories about it.
That's saying. What he did is he went down to all these and he went down into their archives, and he's found this amazing collection of old videotape. And he says, like, videotape after 35 years, forget it. So they have collected all this videotape and they found the most amazing stuff. They've digitised, because it's got a huge budget.
Yeah.
They've digitised it all. And they came over here, and I had cleaned out the Bond store and given all, you know, the Bond America's Cup group. I was the last man standing.
Yeah.
And I gave it all to the Batty Library, which is the state archive. And so he's now gone to the Batty archive. And they said, oh, we love it, but we can't afford to digitise it all. Matt said, don't worry, we'll digitise it all.
No way.
So he said, I found the most amazing stuff. It's all Newport based, and it's going to be, a 110-minute film about Newport in 1983.
No way.
So, I think for Newport, it's going to be a Netflix. He says, I don't know how many people will watch it. Shitload of people's going to watch it.
A lot of people.
Matt McLean's his name.
I think I hear about the America's Cup at least once a week, still at home. And, there's reasons that we'll never host it again.
No. It'll never be hosted here again either.
We're just not big enough.
No. We're not deep enough.
Yeah, and we don't have the money or the infrastructure to host how big of it's become.
But in a way, that was then, and it's wonderful that it, and it ended up, it didn't just whimper away, it ended up with the biggest bang of a story at the end, 7-1, 4-3 by 41 seconds. And
I would put the success and, on your shoulders of, it could have stayed the way it was in Newport for many years and maybe faded out, maybe just kept going that way. But I think the shock re-energized the sport.
The America's Cup here was huge.
In 87.
With 12 metres. Yeah, in 87. We had 13 challenges, 4 defenders. We ran it for 6 months. World Championship before with 13 or 14 12 metres racing together, which has never happened before.
It changed the side of the country.
Changed $400 million, 1985, mid-80s money, was injected into this town.
And you could see it and feel it.
It's still here. The impact is still here.
We're sitting at Little Creatures, which I have been told many times this building was used for the America's Cup.
It was.
And then after it was turned into a alligator pit.
That building there was America's Cup.
Oh, really? Yeah, I see
that marina out there, over there, the other side. It was built for the America's Cup.
Yeah.
Fremantle Sailing Club was about to go broke, and it's now the richest yacht club in Australia, most likely the world. America's Cup.
Yeah.
But the big thing about Fremantle, and now that we've started down this particular theme,
but you are a big proponent of people coming here.
Oh, absolutely.
The tourism, the economy,
Because the thing that happened with the America's Cup and Fremantle was that Fremantle was basically a town that was built in the gold rush at the end of the 19th century. And so the west end of Fremantle, what you walk through now, was all built between about 1880 and First World War.
Okay.
And then in the 1960s, suddenly they discovered the incredible wealth of the mineral wealth of Western Australia.
And I've learned yesterday from an Uber driver that 3 of the top 5 mines in the world are here in Western Australia.
Oh, we have I think it's 25% of the world's aluminium, 25% of the world's uranium, ridiculous amount of the world's iron ore, and then you start getting into some of the rare mineral sands and metals and so forth. Some of them are like 60, 80, 70. So the wealth and gas, like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And but in the 60s, none of this had been discovered.
Wow.
And so when it started to get discovered, poor old Perth got a bulldozer through it. So you go there, it's a glass city. It's...
Yeah, I'm going there tomorrow.
Could be Dallas. And west. So when the developers turned their minds on Fremantle, Fremantle went, hang on, leave our little town alone. And there was a thing that had happened in Sydney. A lot of Sydney, down the Rocks area, it was saved by the unions who put green bands on a lot of the old buildings.
Wow.
And then, so what happened is that Fremantle took on this whole concept of the great green bands, and there was this massive battle through the whole 70s, even to the 80s, to preserve the west end of Fremantle. And the battle was largely won, but most of those buildings were decrepit, run down, had flashy colonial facades, but the buildings were actually rubbish. And then the America's Cup came. And suddenly it provided the capital to restore all those buildings. So when you walk down today and see them all restored and beautiful, and of course then the Notre Dame University got involved and what have you, it only survived because of the America's Cup. Not that the America's Cup was the part of the battle. The battle had been won, but there was no money to do anything about them. What are we eating?
Do you ever feel like you had a huge hand in saving this city?
Oh, that would be arrogant to think.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that.
The race.
I've lived here all my life.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't actually. I've lived here since I was late 30s. My late 20s, early 30s. And I've seen the whole thing happen. And yes, me and people like me fought for the spirit of the place, and I was lucky enough to be a part of the America's Cup win, which I think made a huge change. So I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be a part of what's happened to this city that I love so much,
I went over to see Australia too on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I just sat down on the bench there and just watched people passing by.
Yeah.
So many people just amazed by it. They spend 20, 30 minutes just staring at it.
You go and touch the keel.
Yeah. They spend so much time there.
Yeah.
It means from people all over the world.
It's been funny having me in the museum. Yeah. I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. How often do you get over there to see her?
Oh, not very often.
No.
I suppose 4 or 5 times a year, but I don't go there and look at the boat. I go over there because I'm involved a bit in the museum and I do other things, and people ask me to come in. With Matt McLean, I did a big interview over there with him and all of that, so I go over there. It's a lovely museum and they do a good job,
Is it all an afterthought, or is it something you think every day about?
Not every day, but it's still, it totally changed my life. Totally changed my life. And I am, how do you say this without ignoring yourself? I'm given huge respect by sailors and everybody, people you meet. Oh God, you're on the Australia 2's crew, and what an amazing! I remember where I was, and that. So, I'm still I live a very simple and humble life. I really do, and but I've just. Some people are rich with money and some people are rich with experience. And I've come across a lot of people who are very rich with money who would have traded my rich of experience. And I'm just very lucky to have been there and to things happen so that it all. And I know it could have been any other people as well. I was just lucky, to be there and to have been able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
It led on to the Endeavour, which was that extraordinary project.
So we, over the last couple of years, I just went to a press conference in, the late fall, where Rhode Island Marine Archaeology.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, yeah, our late. So October, November, September.
And that's when they announced that they'd found it.
That's where they announced that they think they have found it among the 13 ships in Newport Harbor.
Yeah.
But you moved on from America's Cup and eventually landed on building a replica of the Endeavour. So you got involved with the...
Well, I was the general manager of the defence.
Yeah.
So I did the whole defence here, which was one of the great disappointments in life when we didn't get to defend what we'd won.
Yeah.
Because the Kookaburras beat up on us, and we really did make some mistakes, and it's very sad. But anyway, so after all that was all over, Alan Bond, because then what happened is that Dennis Conner won, and because he won, he broke the mould a bit, in that typically what would happen is you'd go back to San Diego and you'd race the event in San Diego, and you'd do what we would do, which was to race in 12 metres and what have you.
Yeah.
But Dennis said no, he wanted to try and hawk it around America and make some money out of it. And he was going to Atlantic City and places like that. And then, of course, Michael Fay, the Kiwi,